Have you ever felt that quiet, underlying pressure? The one that creeps in when you're scrolling through social media, sitting at a family dinner, or watching another romantic comedy. The message is everywhere that you need to find someone to be complete. That being single is just the waiting room for your real life to begin. But what if we've had it backwards this whole time? We live in a world that is obsessed with partnership. It's woven into our movies, our music, and those well-meaning questions from relatives. We're taught that being single is a problem to be solved, a gap to be filled. But the famous psychologist Carl Jung saw this differently. He didn't see a void to be filled by another person. He saw a space, a crucial, fertile space, for the most important journey you can ever take, the journey back to yourself. This isn't about loneliness. It's about the profound and life-changing power of self-discovery. So, who was this man, Carl Jung? To put it simply, he was a Swiss psychiatrist who became one of the most influential and yet misunderstood thinkers in psychology. He started his career closely aligned with Sigmund Freud, but their paths diverged as Jung developed his own ideas, which were less about repressed childhood sexuality and more about the innate, spiritual quest for meaning and wholeness that defines the human experience. He introduced concepts that have seeped into our everyday language, like the idea of the collective unconscious, a kind of shared psychological inheritance of all humankind, and archetypes, those universal, recurring characters and patterns that appear in our stories, dreams, and myths, like the hero, the sage, or the trickster. But for our purposes today, the most important idea Jung gave us is a process he called individuation. Think of it this way. From the moment we're born, we're shaped by outside forces. Our parents, our culture, our schools, and our friends all tell us, directly and indirectly, who we should be. We develop a personality that helps us fit in, get approval, and survive socially. But Jung proposed that underneath all that conditioning, there is a unique, indivisible core self, the person you were inherently meant to be before the world told you who you should be. Individuation is the lifelong, often challenging process of uncovering that true self. It's about becoming a whole, integrated individual by acknowledging and weaving together all the disparate parts of your personality, not just the parts you're proud of, but also the parts you hide, the parts you're ashamed of, and the parts you've completely forgotten about. This isn't about self-improvement in the typical sense of adding a new skill or fixing a flaw. It's more like a homecoming. It's the difficult, beautiful work of looking inward to ask, what do I truly value, separate from what I was taught to value? What brings me joy, not just approval? What are my own thoughts, my own beliefs, my own voice? It's about making peace with your contradictions, the ambitious go-getter and the lazy daydreamer, the generous friend and the secretly jealous rival. Wholeness, Jung argued, doesn't mean being perfect, it means being complete. And here is the crucial life-altering point Jung made. You cannot find this wholeness in someone else. You cannot outsource this work to a partner. In fact, he observed that so many of us jump from relationship to relationship not out of a deep, conscious love for another person, but as a distraction from the terrifying and lonely work of facing ourselves. A romantic partner becomes a mirror in which we hope to see a better, more complete reflection of ourselves. We ask them to fill our emptiness, validate our worth, and give our life meaning. But this is a fragile foundation. It places an impossible burden on another person and, more importantly, it prevents us from ever embarking on the one journey that actually leads to genuine fulfillment. When we avoid the quiet solitude required for self-discovery, we remain fragmented, looking for our missing pieces in everyone we meet, instead of realizing that the power to become whole was inside us all along. This journey of individuation that Jung described isn't just an abstract idea. It plays out in very practical ways, especially in how we relate to others. The pressure to be in a relationship often pulls us away from this essential work, And Jung's framework helps us understand why. It starts by facing the parts of ourselves we'd rather not see. We all have a shadow self, that hidden basement of our personality where we lock away the traits we deem unacceptable. Our pettiness, our laziness, our selfishness, our hidden insecurities. These are the parts of us we're afraid would make us unlovable if anyone ever saw them. In a relationship, this shadow doesn't just disappear. It often manifests as projection. We see our own messiness in our partner and criticize them for it. We notice their arrogance because it mirrors our own buried pride. We get incredibly irritated by their flaws precisely because they are a reflection of the flaws we refuse to acknowledge in ourselves. It's a clever, subconscious trick that protects our ego but sabotages our connections. As Jung famously said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. When we are alone, however, that convenient screen vanishes. There is no partner to blame. The mess in the house is yours. The critical voice in your head is yours. The avoidance of a difficult task is yours to own. This forced accountability is incredibly uncomfortable, but it is also the only path to true integration. Sitting in that discomfort, you finally have to ask, why does this mess trigger me so deeply? What am I really avoiding? This is the sacred work of singleness, making peace with your own shadow so you stop casting it onto everyone else. Beyond our shadow, we also wear a mask for the world, what Jung called the persona. This is the polished, social version of ourselves, the reliable employee, the fun friend, the good son or daughter. It's not inherently bad. It helps us navigate society. But in a relationship, it's incredibly easy to craft a shared persona, a we, that becomes your entire identity. You become the couple that hikes, the foodies, the busy parents. While these shared identities are beautiful, they can also become a cage if you've never developed a solid sense of I outside of them. You can lose touch with what you genuinely enjoy versus what you do as a unit. Your opinions can subtly merge until you're not sure what you truly think anymore. A period of intentional singleness shatters this collective mask. It forces you to answer questions you may have been avoiding for years. Who am I when no one is watching? What music do I actually like to listen to? How do I really want to spend a Saturday morning? Do I hold these values because I believe in them, or because I was told to? This isn't about being selfish. It's about building an authentic self from the ground up. It's about developing a conscious relationship with yourself so that if you later choose to be in a partnership, you are bringing a whole person to the table, not just a role to be filled. Perhaps the most powerful trap we fall into is the search for our other half, the idea that a partner will complete us. Jung explained this through the concepts of the anima and animus, the inner feminine energy in a man and the inner masculine energy in a woman. These are vast, unconscious parts of ourselves that we haven't yet owned. So instead of integrating them, we project them outward. A man might fall head over heels for a woman because she embodies the creativity, intuition, and emotional depth he has neglected in himself. A woman might be drawn to a man who seems intellectually assertive and decisive, qualities she hasn't yet given herself permission to fully embrace. We aren't loving the real person, we are loving an idealized image we've superimposed upon them. This is the foundation of a codependent relationship. It's built on a fantasy and a lack. We are seeking externally for what we feel is missing internally. A period of solitude allows this projection to fall away and land right back in your own lap. It gives a man the space to connect with his own compassion and nurture his creative spirit without needing a partner to provide it for him. It allows a woman to connect with her own inner strength, her logical mind, and her assertive voice, so she doesn't need to seek it in someone else. You become more whole within yourself. Then, as Jung put it, the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. A relationship born from this place isn't about completion. It's about two whole individuals choosing to grow together, transforming each other consciously, not completing each other out of desperation. Finally, all of this work requires something that is in desperately short supply in a coupled life: quiet space. Jung placed immense importance on the inner life, the world of dreams, intuition, creativity, and spiritual connection. This is where we commune with our unconscious, where symbols arise, and where we find a sense of meaning that transcends our daily routines. Relationships, by their very nature, are externally focused. They require compromise, coordination, logistics, and a constant sharing of mental and emotional energy. This is a beautiful part of connection, but it can also be a constant drain on the attention needed to tend your own inner garden. A period of singleness provides the fertile silence necessary to actually hear the whispers of your own soul. It's in this solitude that you can truly listen to your dreams, follow a creative whim without explanation, or simply sit with your own thoughts and see where they lead. This isn't loneliness, it's the deepest form of self-communication. By cultivating a rich inner life, you build a core of stability and self-knowledge. You become a source of your own meaning, so that you enter relationships not to get something, but to share the abundance you've already created within yourself. It's crucial to pause here and clarify something, because this is where people often get the wrong idea. What we're talking about is not an endorsement of isolation or a permanent retreat from the world. Carl Jung was not suggesting we all become hermits, living alone on a mountaintop. He understood deeply that humans are wired for connection, for relationship, for community. We need each other. The point is not to eliminate connection, but to understand its true purpose and to ensure we are building it on a solid foundation. This isn't about building walls to keep people out. It's about first building a home within yourself so that when people do come in, you are inviting them into a place of wholeness, not a construction site of unmet needs and unresolved baggage. What we're really discussing is the profound difference between loneliness and intentional aloneness. Loneliness is a feeling of lack, a sadness that comes from a perceived absence of connection. It feels passive and often painful. Intentional aloneness, on the other hand, is a conscious, active, and purposeful choice. It's seeing a period of singleness not as a waiting room where you're paused until your real life begins, but as the most important classroom you will ever enter. This is a dedicated season of your life, whether it's 6 months or a few years, that you commit to the most important work you can do, the work on yourself. It is the ultimate act of self-love and the wisest investment you can make in your future happiness, whether that includes a partner or not. You are essentially future-proofing your future relationships. You are doing the digging now to lay a stable foundation, so that whatever you build later won't crumble under the first sign of pressure. You are learning to generate your own validation, your own sense of worth, and your own joy, so that you can bring that energy to a partnership instead of constantly draining someone else's. This shift is so powerful that it even helps to change the language we use. The words we attach to our experience shape how we feel about it. So instead of saying, "I am alone," which carries a weight of emptiness, we can reframe it to, "I am with myself." This is a relationship you are actively nurturing. It's not about having no one, it's about having the space to find someone truly wonderful, yourself. Think of it not as sitting at home by yourself, but as going on a date with yourself. What would you like to do? What would you like to learn about yourself tonight? It's not about a blank calendar, it's about a calendar finally open for the most important meeting of all, the one you've been canceling for years, the meeting with the person you are becoming. This reframing turns what society labels a lack into the greatest opportunity for abundance you may ever have. It transforms a period of singleness from a sentence of loneliness into a gift of self-discovery, a sacred chapter where you are the author, the main character, and the love story all at once. So, what does this work actually look like in the quiet of your own daily life? How do you practically turn this time into a fertile ground for growth? Jungian psychology offers some beautiful and accessible ways to begin this conversation with yourself. It starts by opening a dialogue with the parts of you that usually don't get a voice. This is often called active imagination, and it can be as simple as keeping a journal. But instead of just writing about your day, try asking a question and letting the answers flow without filtering them. Ask yourself, what am I really avoiding feeling right now? Or, what part of me feels the most neglected? And just see what comes up. You might be surprised by the honesty that emerges when you create a safe, non-judgmental space for your inner world to speak. It's like finally listening to a friend who has been trying to get your attention for years. Pay close attention to your dreams. Jung saw them not as random nonsense, but as urgent letters from your unconscious, written in a symbolic language you can learn to understand. Keep a notebook by your bed and make a habit of writing down whatever fragments you remember the moment you wake up, before the logic of the day sweeps them away. Don't worry about interpreting them perfectly right away, just collect them. Over time, you might start to see patterns, recurring characters, settings, or emotions. That frustrating dream about being lost in a school might be about a current feeling of being unprepared. That mysterious, guiding figure could represent a part of your own wisdom trying to lead you. Your dreams are a direct hotline to your inner self, offering clues about what your soul is trying to process and integrate. One of the most powerful and immediate practices you can start today is to use your reactions to others as a mirror. The next time you feel a sharp jolt of irritation, judgment, or even envy toward someone else, pause. Instead of focusing on what's wrong with them, turn the question inward. Ask yourself, where might that same trait exist in me? If you're incredibly annoyed by a colleague's arrogance, could it be because you are not allowing yourself to be confident and assertive, or perhaps because you see a hidden arrogance in yourself that you dislike? If you're deeply judgmental of someone's laziness, is it because you never let yourself truly rest? This isn't about blaming yourself, it's about reclaiming those disowned parts. By simply acknowledging, that irritates me because it reflects something I haven't made peace with in myself, you begin to integrate your shadow and take back your power from those automatic reactions. Find a way to express yourself without a goal or a critic in mind. This is where creative expression becomes a form of therapy. You don't have to be a good artist, musician, or writer. The point is to let the energy of your unconscious flow out through your hands. Doodle, paint messy shapes, write a terrible poem, play a simple rhythm on a table, build something with your hands. When you engage in creativity without the pressure of an outcome, you bypass the critical voice of your ego and tap directly into a deeper well of your personality. It's a way to let your inner self speak in its own language of images, sounds, and movements, revealing things that logical thinking never could. Finally, make a conscious effort to simply be with yourself without any distraction. This is the practice of embracing true solitude. Go for a walk in nature without your headphones. Sit with a cup of tea and just look out the window. Allow yourself to be bored. In the silence and the absence of external stimulation, your mind will initially rebel. It will feel restless and uncomfortable. But if you stay with it, something shifts. The surface-level chatter begins to quiet down, and deeper thoughts, intuitions, and feelings have the space to rise to the surface. It is in these quiet, unproductive moments that you often have your clearest insights and feel a deeper connection to yourself and the world around you. This is how you build a comfort and a friendship with your own company, transforming solitude from something to be feared into your greatest resource. So, when we look at it through this lens, a period of intentional singleness is far from a curse or a societal failure. According to Carl Jung, it is quite the opposite. It is one of the greatest opportunities and most profound gifts you can ever give yourself. This time is sacred. It is your chance to do the essential work of gathering up the scattered pieces of yourself, to make peace with your shadow, to see others clearly instead of through the lens of your own projections, and most importantly, to build an unshakable, loving, and authentic relationship with the most important person you will ever know, you. This isn't a detour on the path to a happy life. It is the path itself. And when you embark on this journey, something beautiful happens. You stop seeking a relationship to complete you and start desiring one to share your completeness. The most attractive and sustainable thing you can ever offer a future partner is not a desperate need for them to fill your voids, but the radiant presence of a whole, complete, and individuated self. You are no longer choosing them out of a fear of being alone, but from a place of genuine abundance and desire, because you see in them someone who complements the wholeness you've already created. That is the foundation for a truly transformative partnership. This is just the beginning of a much deeper conversation. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. What part of Jung's philosophy resonated most with you? Do you have your own experiences with the power of a single season? Share your stories and reflections in the comments below. Let's learn from each other. If this video brought you any value or clarity, please like and subscribe to help others find this community. And if you're ready to go deeper, especially into that challenging but crucial work of facing your shadow, I invite you to watch our next video, where we break down Jung's concept of the shadow in much more detail. Thank you for watching.